Hi, I'm Susan Kennard and I'm recording this from San Diego airport, and the reason why I'm doing this is I'm just on my way back to the UK after attending an amazing conference, the New Media Summit actually. I have a podcast called The Spiritual Awakener, and one of the things that I was really thinking about, I'm sitting here and I've got probably about half an hour before my flight kind of starts to book in, and I'm listening to the news. I never listen to the news, right? I never listen to it, but I'm here in the airport. I'm just going to show you how dead it is in this airport. It's about 6:30. It's San Diego time. Let me show you. Right, there's literally like a sprinkling of people. Okay, so there's a sprinkling of people. There's really hardly anyone going through customs. It's absolutely dead. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the constant news that's going on here in the airport. And I just thought to myself, I'm just going to do a video because my thoughts that are coming through as I'm really tuning in about this is that there must be a bigger reason for why this is happening. You know, obviously, I don't really believe you catch anything anyway, but that's another story. I'm not going to get into the kind of science of it, even though I am a spiritual scientist and trained in neuropsychology and disease. I don't want to get into that. What I want to get into is what is the bigger reason, you know, we had bird flu, and that was supposed to be something that killed the whole world. We had foot and mouth, definitely in the UK and Europe, and that was supposed to be something that was going to kill like millions of people. We had mad cow disease, which was really awful, but it wasn't. It was just kind of localized, really. And I wonder if, you know, all the fear that is going on in the world and shutting everything down and all this kind of stuff, I wonder what the bigger reason is. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. One of the things that I was thinking about was, you know, when you feel afraid, then people have a control over you. So you feel completely powerless when you're afraid. And of course, there is nothing but fear or love. So, you know, we're either afraid, we're in our fear vibration, or we're in our love vibration. So if we look at fear, when we're in fear, if we feel fear, then we lose all our sense of our intuition. We come into that fight and flight space. But what does that do in a bigger purpose? Actually, what happens is all these people that are in fear, I'm not judging them, but all these people that are in fear are being controlled by something that's outside of them. So how would it be if we didn't have the belief that something outside of us could control us or kill us even, yeah? So wouldn't it be interesting if we just kind of flipped our thinking just for a moment in time and to think a much bigger picture is not really that anything's necessarily going to kill us. It might, but it might not. And if we were to come to the place of the peace and calm and know that we're always protected, we're always looked after, and that we don't actually have to be afraid of anything. And why would we want to allow the media, or anyone in fact, to control us and make decisions for us? You know, it's my belief that we were not ever meant to be controlled by anyone. You know, that we were only ever meant to really listen to our own inner guidance. And, you know, the way that I work is I never tell anyone what to do, ever. I would hear the security announcement in San Diego airport. It's quite loud. But, you know, it's definitely my belief that we were never meant to be controlled by someone, you know, politics, etc. You know, why do we need to be controlled by someone else? We're just a soul having a human experience. And when we remember that, it's much easier to come down to that place of peace and know that there's really nothing that outside of us can control us at all. So I just kind of felt that, I was sitting here and listening to this intense news program that's on. You may be able to hear a little bit of it, where it's like, like, we have to stop this. And Trump is actually, I think tonight's one of the last flights I'm getting back, because he's stopping anyone from coming into the States, which is really interesting. So he's stopping anyone from Europe coming into the States. But the ironic thing is that I was at a conference and I was about one or two of the only English people there. Most people were American and Canadian. But some people had travelled from Europe. So, they might have been American people, but they were in Europe just like a few weeks ago. So what, how can we stop it? It's just the wrong way to look at it. It's just a fear perspective looking at it that way. And so I just want to invite you just to really come into the space of that part of you that knows all the answers. Just to come into that space and just feel into, is it really something to be afraid of? Do we really need to go and buy 50 million toilet rolls just in case they run out? Hilarious, right? So just to come to that space, to come to that part of you that absolutely knows that your soul has a much bigger reason for being here, okay? And, if we look at 9/11 and 7/7, many people might know one of my stories, but one of them is that I was supposed to be flying back during 9/11. I was travelling a bit then, and I was supposed to be flying back, but I changed my flight to a week earlier. And at 7/7, I was supposed to be at Edgware Road, because I worked in child protection then as a trauma specialist. And I was supposed to be there. And so I wasn't there, because one of my teenage clients had a baby that night in Paddington Hospital in London. And so I didn't go in that morning. But if I'd have gone in that morning, I would have been there at Edgware Road at that time. So when you look at it that way, you can say, it wasn't my time. Yeah? And so when you look at your life now, does it make sense to you that it probably isn't your time? But what do we do by putting fear into our experience? All we're doing is just creating stress within the field, within our body. So we're creating the stress within our body. And as a naturopath and somebody who understands about the cells within the body, as a spiritual scientist, my background is science. And as I understand that, actually, dis-ease is really a vibrational match. So you have to be a vibrational match to something for it to be part of our experience. And we can find that by looking at the mirror in the outside world. So if we look at relationships or we look at something outside of us, we can look at that and say, do I like that? Does it make me feel good? Or does it make me feel uncomfortable or upset or anything? And then we need to look at, what is that part of me that's attracting that experience, okay? So my advice would just be to really chill the fear, to clear the fear, come into that part. It's really loud. So just come into that where you can really come back into the knowing part of you. So I wasn't going to do this, but I really feel like this might be helpful. So just put your hands on your heart. I'll keep it open for the purpose of the video. But close your eyes and just put your hands on your heart. And just breathe. And if you are feeling a bit of fear, just come into your heart. And I just want you to say the word unconditional love to yourself. So just come into your heart and just say the words unconditional love. and just connections come back. So just come into the place of unconditional love in your heart. And then just imagine that your feet are standing on a star. And as you're standing on that star, you're grounding into the earth, into Mother Earth. And then imagine that star above your head. And just connect with that star above your head. And just come back into your heart. And say the words to yourself, unconditional love. I am unconditional love. And then with that, feel into it now when you think about this whole drama that's going on with the coronavirus. How does it feel? Does it feel quite as dramatic? Does it feel, kind of something outside of you and not really part of you? How does it feel? So if you do get any fear and you do feel you're worried about anything, just come into your heart and say those words of unconditional love to yourself, because when you're in that space of love, you cannot be in the space of fear. You can only be in the space of vibrational love. Okay? Right, okay, so I'm still listening to the news in the background here, and it's all drama. Even the voices, they're like, it's a state emergency here in San Diego. I'm just going to say hi to a few people. Okay. Hello, Jennifer. And Liam. Oh my God, you're up, Liam. What time is it in the UK? It must be really... Anamira and Robert, Mel, Virginia, Ashley, Sam, Karen King. Oh my goodness, I've seen you for ages. Sahara, Janice, Jen, hi Jen, John, Kate McKenzie, Simon Peters, hi Simon, I watch you sometimes, John Martin, and Maria Million, how lovely. Yeah, Lena, that's brilliant. Coronavirus is not part of me, absolutely. And it, if you just joined and you didn't hear what I was saying before, it's, hi Ron. It's 1 a.m, Liam. I know, I was thinking that, because my flight goes at 7:35, so I was thinking it's about that time. Shirley, hi. Yeah, so comments about what you feel about this, because if we can just come into that space of love, come into our heart, fear cannot live in the love vibration, Fear cannot live in the love vibration. But one of the things that I want to say is there are a lot of people cashing in on this, which I find just so incredible. People are cashing in on this, and I just don't like that. It doesn't make me feel very good. So I really wanted to just chat to you, and offer any of my thoughts, some my love to you, and for you to understand that, really nothing outside of you is ever going to control you. It really isn't. I would not have flown across the world to be at a conference with an international, podcast summit, to speak on the stage, to promote my podcast, if I thought I was in any danger. Of course I wouldn't. Of course I wouldn't do that, And I just think we've got to come back to our heart space. We've got to come back to our heart space. We've got to come back to that knowing part of us, that part of us that is 100% in that space of knowing that we can change our life, we can transform our life, and we do not have to get affected by something outside of us. And when we look at our outside world and we say, oh my God, that makes me scared, then we have to really go and look at our inside world. Hi Doug. Nice to see you on here, and Lee and everyone, and Tammy. The fear that is going around here in America, I just cannot believe it. It's just craziness. It really is. And just come into your heart, come into the space where you know that you have all the answers. Because someone outside of you does not have the answers for your life. They never did. And they're just playing on your own little bits of fear that are held within you. And when you can actually transform that and just say, actually, yeah, it makes sense to me. It feels really good to know that I can make my own choices, I can come into my own power, then that is your key. That is 100% your key to actually being empowered in your life. And turn the flipping news off, you know. Turn the news off. Don't watch the news. You're going to hear, let me tell you, you're going to hear enough about this coronavirus without watching the news. And you're just indoctrinating your energy field by watching negative input of other people's beliefs about something. So if you've got anything from this kind of rambling on, this chat, this conversation, if you've got anything from this, just come into the place of knowing that fear cannot live in love, okay? So come into that space of love of yourself, really be grateful for everyone you have around you, grateful for your animals, grateful for the life you have, grateful for the food you have, and just come into that space of gratitude rather than going into that space of fear. So if anyone wants to sort of ask anything or comment on anything, I'm happy to answer it. Yeah, Robert, expanding energy of healing out. Yeah, brilliant. Robert, that's amazing. You know, really just if we can all do that, you know, us that work with people, help people heal trauma and perceptions of belief that stop them from being that incredible light in the world, then Liam, thank you, Spiritual Awakener. Yeah, my podcast, The Spiritual Awakener. So yeah, so, you know, if anyone can do that, you especially Liam as well, if you can send out that beautiful light, then the more people that do that, the less fear there'll be in the world, to be honest. And not just, you know, there's much bigger reason for this. And, you know, I'm not quite sure what the bigger reason is, but I think we will come to it and we will realise that it's not about catching something. It's not about, you know, something you get on your hands and put on your face. I wonder if it's about fear. I wonder if it's bringing up all of that old fear in people and saying to people, like, actually, it's time to let it go, you know? It's time to let it go. Okay. So if anyone wants to say anything about what they feel about it, I'm really happy to listen. I don't know if anyone can come on. Oh, Tanya, yeah, see? Tanya, you can send out the light as well to the world. And, you know, what I'm talking about is coming to the place of love rather than fear. Absolutely. Imagine, what's that? Manna dropping from the sky. I can't read that. I don't know what that is. Say that again, Robert. Light workers can hold the space for love with masses. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. And also, you know, reach out and talk to me. And if you know, talk to me. I'll interview you on my podcast if you feel drawn. It's the Spiritual Awakener, and it's really, I want to talk to people that are awake or have had awakening experiences that have led them to be amazing lights in the collective.
Good evening, everyone. If you are a British Airways passenger
Okay.
flight
Oh,
272
energetic
from London
food.
Heathrow,
Oh, wow. Okay, Robert. Yeah, brilliant.
Please immediately down to gate 50 for
Yeah, so I'll just wait for this lady to finish doing her.
you have checked in. Once again, if you
One
are a
sec.
British Airways passenger and you did transfer from a different airport coming into San Diego, please come speak to a British Airways agent at gate 50 for passport verification. Thank you.
Okay. So Tanya's saying, Tanya's a friend and colleague of mine. It's the fear train or the love train, yeah. And Tanya, if you come on earlier, I was talking about how we actually did a little meditation process, a connection process, where we can actually come into that space of the heart space and drop into that heart space rather than being in our head, you know, the part of us that's in our head and in fear, definitely. Yeah. So I think I'm going to leave it there, but, you know, just remember, no one can control anything outside of you. It's your journey, it's your intention, it's your love you have of yourself and your life that is the thing that determines where you're going, not what someone tells you you should do. Okay, so it's really about being empowered with that and being a light for others. All right. So I hope it's helped some people. Please share it if you feel it's relevant and it might help somebody else. Even if it helps one person come out of their fear and come into that space of calm and peace, then job done. Okay, so much love to everybody. Thanks for joining me here. It's very late in the UK. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, but here in San Diego, I think it's something like 6:30 or something in the evening. And yeah, reach out. Okay, lots of love. See you on the other side of the pond. Bye for now.